Rolling. Action.
This makes me feel I'm in an important movie or something.
You are.
It is an important.
I should act. So the story of the shop really starts with a business we started a couple of years before that, which was called The Cellar, which was the first discotheque in India. And the discotheque happened because the place was there, like the shop happened because the place was here, and it was a place that was an office that my father and uncle were using. So we didn't have to search far. And the motivation for the shop came from the fact that after getting married, we were so caught up with that business, which involved us working from 10:30 or so in the morning to sometimes 12 or 2 o'clock at night morning. So we were totally, husband and wife, Kamal and me, were totally inundated with discotheque music and didn't have time to do up the flat that we had moved into. So when we did have time to do that, we started looking for things to buy, beds and furniture, etc. And everything that we found was too handicrafty and tacky and not what we liked. And we both had a similar sort of taste and need to have things that were basically Western. And both of us had gone to, separately at different times, we didn't even know each other, had been to Denmark. And there we were separately very influenced by one shop, by Danish design in general, but one shop called Illums Bollygoose. And I remember because as a poor student, I used to keep going back. I could never afford to buy anything there. But that impression and that style remained with me and with us, basically. So when we started looking for stuff for our home, we couldn't find anything. So we then decided that we would use this space, which was an office space belonging or being used by father and uncle, that we would ask my uncle to shift out and my father to have an office at the back here. So he had his office and he sat where he was sitting, but we used then this space and the back space to open a shop. And we were very lucky to find first the designer called Ratna Fabri, who had designed many trade fairs and exhibitions on behalf of India and many foreign countries. So we got her or asked her, and she was very happy to do it, and she was a very nice person. And what you see here, except now a little bit in the center, but what remains here is basically what she has designed. The flooring is still the same, the shelving is slightly different, but we started with these shelves that are on the side. So her design has shown remarkable longevity. What she did was simple, basic, aesthetic. And we have lived with that, with that all the time, I mean, all these years. We did change the front a little bit because we found this very nice door frame type thing, arch door frame in Jodhpur. So we did a lot of work to fit that in because it fitted in with the concept of the shop. The first, I won't even call them suppliers, designers that we had were famous artists. So for ceramic, we had Satish Gujral and Mini Singh of Delhi Blue Art Pottery, and they had tremendous aesthetics in what they did. For wood, we had wood and furniture. We had Ravi Sikri and Mini Boga, who were designing in a very Scandinavian style. For fabrics, we went to the National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad. For stainless steel, we did that we just bought because there was one supplier who was making very nice, aesthetic, modern stainless steel cutlery. And for glass, there was nothing available in a modern design, but the traditional glass making areas of the Mughals, or from the Mughal period onwards, were in Firozabad. So we had bought these glasses from Denmark, and we took them to Firozabad, where they made molds for us, and they blew the glass into the molds that we had made. So we had very unique colored glass in Scandinavian designs. There were obviously enough people who liked our taste and who started coming to the shop. So for a couple of years, we had low sales, but very good quality people. And very soon, we were being compared to the better shops of Delhi. One was the cottage industries at that time, and the second was Fab India. So we came within a couple of years to that level where people started talking and coming. And then our sales became famous when we started selling our excess stuff. We went into textiles in a slightly different way, but it was again very personal. Like this was personal, we wanted to decorate our home. Textiles was because we wanted to travel. And to be able to travel, you had to export. So on my first trip abroad as a salesperson, I took all the stuff we had here, but plus some textiles. And the textiles we had also was from a very good designer lady from Ahmedabad called Prabha Behan, who ran a shop called Sohan's. And she had made 10 designs, block printed designs on a very beautiful fabric from Mori in Andhra Pradesh. So I took those all 10 tablecloths with napkins, and that was one of the very few orders. I went to about 8 countries, but didn't get too many orders. But the one order that we did get was for these 10 designs in table linen. So when we came back and we placed the order with Prabha, she said, "Oh, there's too much. I can't do 10 pieces in 10 designs." She said, "I can't do it. It's too much for me." So we found a printer in Kotla market, and we spent a huge amount of money because each design had about 6 sets of blocks, borders, center, etc., etc. So 6 sets of blocks, meaning we had to get 60 blocks made, very expensive, to fulfill this order. Then we had to buy this fabric from Morris. So we rushed around, but managed to do it. So that was our first export order. And then we found that when my wife went abroad the next year, she did the same thing. She got orders on our printed textiles. So we decided, since the small block printers couldn't fulfill the demand that we had, and demand means actually nothing. It was 10 pieces, 20 pieces, 100 pieces. So we then decided to set up our own table in addition to getting block printing done from the local suppliers. So there was first a garage, then there was an area behind the Regal Cinema that we owned. So we enclosed that and had it done up. So we then expanded to where we could afford to rent a factory. So our first factory was a rented one in Okla Industrial Estate, where we then also, because it was the largest factory, we set up not only the printing unit, but also tailoring and stitching and dyeing. And then again, we outgrew that factory. We took another factory on rent, and then we outgrew that. And then Noida came up. And I'm sure very, very few people know this story, but Noida came up because of the emergency where Sanjay Gandhi started demolishing all the areas in Turkman Gate. And he had trucks pick up the people and their luggage from there and just dumped them in the area which is now Noida. And in spite of the emergency, there was a huge outcry. People were really outraged at this kind of behavior, and it happened during the rains. So these poor people from Turkman Gate got dumped in this Noida area. So the government needed to make an excuse that, oh, we didn't just dump them, we are planning an industrial estate over there. So suddenly, within months, some great plan was produced for factories and residences in Noida. So then we had to shift our factory from Okhla to Noida. And Noida was too far away. There were no buses, nobody wanted to go there. And we lost half our workers because we asked them to shift to Noida, where there was no, I mean, there were villages there, but really nowhere to live properly. And it was totally mosquito-ridden, infested with mosquitoes and other cockroach-type things. So in order to induce our workers to go there, we gave them bicycle loans. So less than 1,000 rupees per head. We said, please take this 1,000. And that even was a loan, so they repaid it at 10 rupees a month or something. So that's how we got workers to come to Noida. And in Noida, we asked Vasant Kamath, the architect, to design something that looked sort of slightly villagey, handicrafty, folksy, and not a factory, not a proper factory. So he made a very good design using the centerpiece as an open space, like in a village would be, and a courtyard all around where block printing and other things were. So then after that, there was just expansion, larger export orders, more travel, and that resulted in our opening a shop in New York, and then later in Denmark, and later in Germany. And we were again, and I must say that nobody is a good businessman per se. You're always lucky when you do something. So we were lucky that we were able to start the cellar because it was earlier Lloyd's Bank, they moved out, we owned the building, so we took over. Here we asked our relations to leave. Over there in New York, we got a bicycle shop, that was a bicycle shop on rent. And that was at a time when the Upper West Side of New York had not taken off, it hadn't become fashionable. So it was still a sort of seedy sort of area. Within months of our taking this shop on rent, there was an article in the New York Times, and suddenly the Upper West Side became fashionable. Everybody wanted to go there, and we were there at a low rent, let's say comparatively low rent. And the shop did very well, and then we opened a warehouse, and so that's how the American bit of the business took over. And then Kabir and Aishwarya came, then I retired. End of story. Is that long enough? More than 3 minutes, no?
It's 14 minutes.
14?
Yes.
Unbelievable. And non-stop, no questions asked.
Non-stop, no questions. I was too scared to interrupt. The train of thought was very clear. Lovely.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
got it. You want to ask something
I'm
specific?
just wondering, I don't know, is there anything specific that you feel you may have missed out? Like,
I think
I think I've got all. I forgot to mention, of course, that there were many people who influenced us in our quest, let's say. And I would say the most important was the designer Ritin Majumdar. He gave freely of his time and his expertise, and he's the one who helped us set up first the one table, then the two tables, then the many tables in these factories. And he was always available when we asked, is this a good color, not good? And remember that he was colorblind, but he had a tremendous sense of color. And he and my wife, who also had a tremendous sense of color, she could remember colors from various places and would drive everybody in the factory mad, including me, with saying, I want this blue and not that blue. And finally, when we also printed, when we had started the shop, posters were very common abroad. So we had an Alibaba poster. And the Alibaba poster was printed in about 5 different colors, the same design in black, but background color was in 5 different colors. And I remember particularly she drove us mad in saying, I want this orange and not that orange, and it finally didn't make any difference. So Ritin was a very important influence in our designing things, including his designs, but others also. Laila Tayyab ji was very instrumental in again helping us. She designed a range of clothes and helped us a lot with the fabrics. This Sona lady, Prabha Bahan, right in the beginning was very, very influential, very important. And I would say that John Bissell of Fab India was totally generous with his time and his advice. And at that stage, he had very big buyers, Habitat in England. And he sent the Habitat buyers here who came here, they didn't like anything, and they went away. And he said, oh, you didn't like anything in the shop? Are you crazy? And he brought them back. And that's how we started selling to this very important company, which gave us a lot of prestige, called Habitat. So there have been many, I think there are many others. Mini Singh was also very important, a very good person. So I think I would say that all the designers who we started off with were very good, not only in their designs, but as human beings. They were not just suppliers of fabrics or other things. The end again.
Great.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.